Welcome back to On the Rise as Canada defeats Ukraine 4-2 in the inaugural game of the Canadian Shield, as Jesse Marsch's Canadian men's national team had a very impressive performance and arguably the best performance under Jesse Marsch in the new era, but also saw Canada achieve a landmark and a major victory over Ukraine, as this became the first win for the Canadian men's national team against a European opponent since 2011, which is a major win and a huge landmark, especially when building for the CONCACAF Gold Cup and even the 2026 World Cup. Getting that monkey off your back, getting that win against a European outfit is a major win ahead of a huge tournament such as the World Cup and the CONCACAF Gold Cup. And from this game, there is so much to unpack, so much excitement, and we're going to dive into it all. But before we do, guys, drop down below in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that 4-2 win for Canada. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the game, as well as the content, and hit that sub button, guys. Let's move to 650 subscribers. We're going to jump straight into this game. There's so much to unpack, but for me, this was by far the best performance in the Jesse Marsch era. We have not seen this Canadian team play this well. When you look back at all the matches Jesse Marsch has had for this Canadian men's national team ever since that first friendly against the Netherlands, we have not played this well previously under Jesse Marsch. We have played good performances, we have played very good games, but nothing comes close to how well we played against Ukraine. It was a complete match until the last 2 or 3 minutes. Front to back, this team played very well. You struggle to find someone who had a poor performance. Everyone had a 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 performance throughout that game. You could have had 4 or 5 man of the match performances, whether it was Jonathan or Promise David, whether it was Nathan, Saliba, Tajon Buchanan, Luc De Fougerolles. Everyone stood out. And it was a great performance all around the pitch by every single player. And when you break down that game, Jesse Marsch pressed the life out of that Ukrainian team, and goals came from it. He wasn't scared to go on the front foot and press with this Canadian team, and with this makeshift Canadian team, and we have to remember, without our 3 stars on the back line. Jesse Marsch wasn't scared to leave them exposed. He wasn't scared to play on the front foot, press that Ukrainian side, and go guns blazing, and it worked very well. Also, we saw some shaky moments from that back line, but that was going to come with very much a lack of chemistry and only having 1 starter regular in that lineup. It was going to happen. But when you look at this being his best performance, I don't think there's an argument for it. I think this is by far the best Canadian performance under the Jesse Marsch era. A complete performance throughout. We saw them be extremely clinical, which we haven't seen from a Canadian side under Jesse Marsch or even in a while. This was a very clinical performance. Yes, we could have even had 5 or 6 goals, but scoring 4 goals, scoring 3 on some very good chances, and playing very well, and managing to put the ball in the back of the net, even on some big chances, was huge, because Canada doesn't always do that. And the fact that they were even able to live up to it and take those chances and put them away very well is what we need to see more from this Canadian team. So the fact we saw a very clinical Canadian side, we saw them press extremely well, and the midfield played perfectly, and the kinks, that backline bent, but they didn't fold. Yes, the goals came late. That was an extremely inexperienced backline. It was a great performance throughout, and I absolutely loved what I saw from that lineup selection from Jesse Marsch, and I don't think we could have seen a better performance from this Canadian team. Yes, it could have been 4-0. There were some sloppy goals at the end, but this Canadian team looked perfect throughout this match. But one thing we have to talk about is some of the man of the match shouts and performances throughout this game. For me, of course, the man of the match was Tajon Buchanan. There's no doubt about that. But there could have been others. But we have to talk about Tajon Buchanan and what he had in this game. Absolutely, this is the best form of Tajon Buchanan we have seen in a long time. We have to remember the way he finished that La Liga campaign with Villarreal. Not playing for months, being injured, coming off the bench. Then he scores against Barcelona. Then he gets an assist in the final match day. Playing very well, clinches and helps his side clinch Champions League football and European football for Villarreal. Comes back to the Canadian camp. Jesse Marsch has instilled more confidence in him, gives him the start in a big match against Ukraine, and he takes it and runs with it. 2 assists, 1 goal, playing with no fear, with the confidence in his boots, and that first assist and first goal from Tajon Buchanan was absolutely incredible. The way he picked it up on the half turn, put the ball through the legs of the Ukrainian defender, and ran straight at that back line with no fear was everything we want to see as Canadians from Tajon Buchanan, and what we haven't seen for years from Tajon Buchanan, ever since the World Cup in 2022, ever since that run up to the World Cup. And he delivered. And it wasn't just his ability on the ball. It wasn't just the fearlessness driving at that back line with his dribbling ability. It was the end product. Tajon Buchanan's crossing ability was finally there, and it delivered. And we saw 2 incredible headers from Jonathan David to cap off the brilliance of Tajon Buchanan. But that's all that matters. It was the end product. It was the fearlessness. It was the confidence. And we have Tajon Buchanan back, and he has to continue that form because he might just have that Gold Cup we all remember from a few years ago, and it might just come back once again if he continues to play this well. And there was another goal as well for Tajon Buchanan, which was very, very, very good to see. It was his 3rd goal contribution of the game, but more importantly, came off a set piece. The Canadian men's national team got a set piece coach in, and he delivered this game. Very good set pieces. Nathan Saliba had some mixed deliveries throughout the game, but that corner kick delivery was very good. Right on a Luc De Fougerolles' head, who then knocked it down for Tajon Buchanan to finish, and seeing that famous celebration from Tajon Buchanan. Deserved the goal. Every time he picked up the ball, you thought something was going to happen. You expected something to happen, and he absolutely delivered it, which was very exciting. But there's so many other performances to talk about, and we have to move to Nathan Saliba. Nathan Saliba was absolutely incredible, stellar, sensational. You could use every word to describe Nathan Saliba's performance, and he deserves it. The 21-year-old CF Montreal midfielder, who has been linked to a move to Anderlecht, had an outstanding performance. This is a player who is a box-to-box 8, a number 10, an attacking-minded midfielder, played as a midfielder in a 2-man midfield setup with Stefan Eustáquio, really was a holding midfielder next to Stefan Eustáquio. He got on the ball very well, created some chances, but defensively, boy, Nathan Saliba had a great game. Had the most tackles in this game, had the most ground duels won in this game. And for a number 10 and attacking-minded midfielder, is truly incredible. This is a man who had 4 tackles in this game, the most tackles won throughout this match, as well winning the most duels in this game with 8. That comes from a 21-year-old attacking-minded midfielder, and it absolutely blows my mind. His work rate, his ability to get back, to track both back and forward, as well as ability on the ball. Nathan Saliba was very tidy in possession. Yes, he has a few sloppy giveaways, but he almost created a goal within the first minute in this game, playing 90 minutes on the ball, 31 for 36 accurate passes. When he got the ball, he was very calm, collected in possession, and he kept it very well, very tidy, very neat, and it's very good to see from Nathan Saliba. And that is exactly why he is getting European interest and why Jesse Marsch praises him and talks so highly of the young Canadian midfielder. But I want to talk about 2 of the defenders, in particular, Luc De Fougerolles. This is a 19-year-old who was out most of the year with injury. This is a 19-year-old who plays an academy in the Premier League for Fulham in the Premier League too. And a man who had an 8.4 rating, who looked fearlessness, who dribbled on the ball very well, who I would call the Canadian Rudiger now. That is now my nickname for Luc De Fougerolles. The way he carried the ball, the confidence he had on the ball, it is now becoming a trend with Canadians. That way he commanded possession, it looked like a veteran out there. He wasn't scared to move the ball forward, to dribble it out of the back line, to take it on himself, to just try to create something, to try to get it out of the back line, to find a 6, to move the ball forward. And his ability on the ball, his ball playing ability, was something that you love to see from a modern defender, a modern center back, and it is such a modern way of defending. And he showed it. But the way he had so much confidence, he was like a true leader back there. And the partnership between Derek Cornelius and Luc De Fougerolles, yes, was a bit shaky at the start of the game, and some people might blame the chance on Zinchenko from them not having chemistry, but it was truly from Nico Seeger being a bit too far back and playing him on side. But Luc De Fougerolles was stellar, absolutely stellar. In possession, great passes, great dribbling, defending absolutely well. His positioning was fantastic. Got a header on the set piece, which led to the Tajon Buchanan goal. It's hard to explain how good Luc De Fougerolles was because it's so exciting to explain a defender, and I love defending, and the way Luc De Fougerolles played was extremely exciting for a 19-year-old who plays Premier League 2 football. And you might think I want to talk about Jamie Knight-Labelle, who got an appearance off the bench, which I absolutely loved seeing come on the pitch and play next to Luc De Fougerolles, which was very exciting seeing two Canada's dual national acquisitions play next to each other in 19 and 20-year-old centre-back partnership. But for me, I have to talk about Zorhan Bassong. Zorhan Bassong, for me, I'm on the hype train. I'm leading this hype train for Zorhan Bassong. A very good performance for Zorhan Bassong. Having a 7-match rating, Canadian supporters weren't overly excited to see him starting. They're not overly excited to see him in rosters. For me, he now proved me wrong. And I absolutely love that. And that is what I want to see for every Canadian who gets an outside shout to be on the squad. Go out there and prove us wrong. And he absolutely did that. The performance he put in, the tackles he made, the control he had in the game, he never looked a pace off of it. Yes, they looked to attack his position. Siankov, Sudakov looked to look down Zorhan Bassong's side. And that didn't surprise me one bit. Zorhan Bassong bent, but he didn't fold. He didn't break. He was very good in possession. He managed to find Jacob Schaffelberg a lot in that first half. And it was just a very nice and tidy performance from Zorhan Bassong. Very strong in his tackles. Forgot his shin pads in the second half. And I loved what I saw from him. And I think Zorhan Bassong has a very legitimate chance to lock down that second left back role and knock out Sam Adekubi for it, because Zorhan Bassong stays fit, he stays healthy, and that was a very good performance from Zorhan Bassong. And Jesse Marsch might even be rethinking why didn't I add him onto that Gold Cup roster, because he definitely deserved it after that performance against Ukraine. And I had to talk about him because it was a great performance in my eyes, and I loved what I saw from Zorhan Bassong in that match. But also I could talk about Maxime Crepeau, who had a great game, but this is becoming a bit of a longer reaction for you guys. But the two who I have to talk about are Jonathan David and Promise David. Jonathan David and Promise David linking up for 3 goals. Some people thought they might not work together, and it might be a time for transition, how it'll work together. Will he be able to play alongside Jonathan David? How will the transition work? Will it be Laren? Will he still stick with Tanio Lawase, who has the chemistry so far with Jonathan David, and Jesse Marsch loves him? Well, we saw how well the Promise David and Jonathan David combo worked, and it worked with 3 goals. And it was fantastic. The pressing we saw from a 6'4" striker from Brampton, from Promise David, was lights out. And we saw it when TSN couldn't even keep up with Promise David's press, and the replay even covered a partial of the goal. And Promise David put it away brilliantly. Yes, he won the ball back, and yes, it was his hard-working ability, but that is what a striker has to do in a Jesse Marsch system and his Jesse Marsch setup. Press from the front, don't let those defenders have time, and he did that very well. 1 possession back, and yes, you might think a 1v1, it's an easy chance, but no, that is a difficult chance when a striker has time to think and time to truly overthink. And Promise David had a very good finish as well. And it was very exciting to see how well he did in his debut. Yes, he picked up a little bit of a tight hamstring, pulled his hamstring a bit, but it's nothing to worry about. And Jonathan David, an 8.9 match rating, getting the man of the match on FootMob, but it truly was Tajon Buchanan who was the man of the match, getting his assists, his goal, played very well. But Jonathan David, that second header, absolutely sublime, edge of the box, a great header, glances it to the top bins on the far side of the goal. A huge goalkeeper for the Ukraine, and he stood no chance, motionless, couldn't even dive to watch Jonathan David's shot go into the back of the net. Absolutely speechless of how good of a finish that was from Jonathan David. There's a reason he is an elite number 9, and he showed it. Jonathan David can score with his left, his right, and he can use his head, and he showed it this game. And yes, our striking partnership now looks to be locked, set with Promise David, Jonathan David. It was very exciting because that is what we want to see. Two good nines, and we are spoiled for nines. Yes, Daniel Jefferson came on in this game for Promise at halftime. He had some good runs. I really liked what I saw from him off the ball, making some runs in behind. Sometimes it came to him and he couldn't hold it up. Other times, if Tajon Buchanan would have laid it off to him, Daniel Jefferson probably would have scored, and everyone would have been thinking differently of him. Because Tajon Buchanan had an option where he could have backheeled it, and Daniel Jefferson would have had a 1v1 and an easy goal scoring situation. Another play, Daniel Jefferson helped laid it off for a chance for Jaden Nelson. He played well in some circumstances, and others, he lacked a hold-up play. It'll come for Daniel Jefferson. This was a side who was up 3-0 at halftime. They never had to go and attack Ukraine. They're going to sit back. They're going to soak up a Ukrainian side who wanted to attack, who wanted to try and score. And Canada rode the mark. A great lineup selection. Seager, Luc De Fougerolles, Nathan Saliba, Promise David, and even saw Jamie Knight-Labelle play next to Luc De Fougerolles. Jaden Nelson got into the pitch. You couldn't have asked for anything more outside of a clean sheet. Great performance all around. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comments. Do you guys agree with what I say? Do you guys disagree? What would you guys change for the next game? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below. Make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed that 4-2 dismantling of the Ukraine. And smash that sub button. And I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.